turn around and come back. Okay. Now we're ready to go with our next speaker. And we haven't even done her book yet. Usually I want the person to have the book out before they come and talk. But in this case, we had a cancellation to the one who was supposed to be here. She had to go out of the country. And Sherri's is under contract. Her book will be out in another few months, as soon as the conference is over. So I thought, well, we're kind of ahead of ourselves because I don't have the book here to present and to sell. But Sherri Cortland has written the book called Windows of Opportunity. And Sherri, again, is one that are the unlikeliest person to do this, just like Karen was. Sherri has been involved in the corporate world for a long time with business people. And she was really scared if she wrote a book like this, what will they think of her? You know, the business world, they think she's gone off the deep edge.
That's right.
So sometimes you have to do what you believe in and take a chance. Because it doesn't matter what somebody else out there thinks, as long as you do what you really think you should. So her book is The Windows of Opportunity. We're going to let her explain how you wrote it, how it came about, and what it's all about. And it'll be out in a few months, and we do send flyers out when the new books come out. I hope a lot of you are getting on our mailing list, the ones who are new to this. But we always send out specials on the new books and catalogs and all of that. Okay, let's present Sherri Cortland.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dolores, for having me here today. Really appreciate it. I am so honored to be here with all of you. I know I'm a last-minute substitute. I'm just so happy to be here. Well, let me begin by telling you a little bit about how Windows of Opportunity came to be written. All of the material dictated for this book was channeled through automatic writing. I'm pretty sure that most of you know what automatic writing is, and it's just one of the ways that Spirit can communicate with us or through us. And to me, it's just one of the easiest ways to do it because, frankly, they do all the work. You just have to sit there and they write through you. I love it. There are two things that I really love about automatic writing. And the first one is that, well, you're wide awake during the process. So it's almost like having a conversation with Spirit. And you can ask questions about the information as it comes in. The other thing that I love about it is that you have a hard copy of what comes through. You never have to worry about losing any of the great stuff that you get through a session. There's only one little tiny downside to automatic writing that I've ever found, and that's if you're like me and you save every single little piece of paper that you've ever gotten. And I see some of you nodding, and I have just binders and binders and binders, and they are taking up some very valuable real estate in my closet in my house. Don't like to give up that closet space. You know, there's absolutely nothing special about the fact that I do automatic writing, that I can contact my guides through automatic writing. Every single one of you here today, everyone can contact their guides through automatic writing. I think that it just takes patience, it takes perseverance to do it, because you might make contact the first time that you try, you might make it the second time, it might take a couple of months for you to make that connection. It's different for everybody that tries. And I was personally inspired to give it a try after I read the Ruth Montgomery books. That was back in the 80s. She wrote with an entity named Lily and also with the medium Arthur Ford when he crossed over. Well, I remember reading her books and thinking, she sits down at a table in her house and she talks to Spirit. Well, I just thought that was the coolest thing that I had ever heard, and I wanted to do it. I really wanted to do it myself, and so got myself a pen and paper, and I sat down at my kitchen table, and I sat there waiting for Spirit to come and write through me, although I had no idea who that was going to be at the time. Well, I sat there day after day with my little pen, and do you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. You are so right. That's why I tell you, you have to have patience in the beginning. But right around the same time that I was sitting at that kitchen table, I was also taking a psychic development course in upstate New York. And one night the teacher announced, well, tonight we're going to learn automatic writing. And I thought, okay, I've been trying to do this for a while. This isn't going to happen. I was kind of laughing about it a little bit. And I was saying to the person next to me, This is not going to happen for me. And just as I was saying that, something grabbed a hold of my arm, and oh, I'm sorry, I'm making that make that noise there. Grabbed a hold of my arm, going like this, circles and circles and circles coming out. My hand is racing around the paper, just racing around the paper. Well, I was so happy. I made first contact. I know this is not right. Do what? Pull it up? There? It's my necklace doing that? Okay. Pull this over to the side there. Thank you. Okay, so I had made first contact, and I was very excited about that. But I wasn't getting these big chunks of wisdom like Ruth Montgomery got. No, no, no. I was getting circles, tons and tons of circles. That's what was coming through. Now, I remember that night so clearly because my hand's racing, just racing around the paper, and I'm watching it, you know, like, okay, I'm not doing that. My hand has a mind of its own, and I guess it had somebody's mind at that time. Everybody in the class was kind of watching, and the teacher yelled out, Sherri, Sherri, control it, control it. Control what? I didn't know what I was doing at that time. How do I control it? Well, after that night, I had no trouble at all making the connection again. In fact, I drew hundreds, maybe even thousands of the most beautiful circles that you would ever see in your entire life. But I got tired of those circles pretty quickly. I wanted more. I wanted those messages. I wanted messages. So I called my teacher, Cindy, and I said, Cindy, what do I do? And she said, Sherri, what you have to do is ask the entity who's trying to come through, ask them to identify themselves. And then, once you know who it is, ask them for a message. And I thought, well, duh, I should have paid more attention in class that night instead of staring at my hand. But I did what she said, and very soon the name Jeremy was written on the paper in front of me. And it turns out that Jeremy is one of my guides for this lifetime. So I began happily writing with Jeremy every morning before I went to work. Now, one of the things I did learn in that class with Cindy is that you need to do your automatic writing at the same time every day. That's because your guides have lives too. They have things to do. Who knew, right? But you should have a set appointment time for them. And so I chose the morning because my husband was already out of the house before me. It was nice and quiet. I could meditate a little bit first before I picked up that pen. As time went on, Jeremy wasn't the only guide that I wrote with. Other guides and entities would stop by for a little bit, give me their little bits of information, wisdom, and then they would go on. Alexa Pratt, Charles, Selena, those were some of them. Eventually, this is kind of interesting, eventually I could tell who was coming through just by the feel in my hand. Every entity had a different feel to them. Well, I loved writing with them every day. I was getting lots and lots of interesting things and was doing that for a few years. Then, sometime in 2003, I got some news that scared the pantyhose off of me. Jeremy told me it's time to write a book. Okay, I thought, writing in the morning, that's okay, but writing a book, who the heck am I to be writing a book? I didn't want to write a book. Well, Jeremy was very insistent about it, very insistent, and he brought up some contract that I supposedly made to do this, but I'm going to tell you guys, I have never seen a copy of that agreement. They have never shown that to me. Honestly, I didn't want to write this book. Dolores told you I did not want to write this book. It's true. I did not want to take that step out of the New Age closet. I was very happy in there, very happy in there. Did not want to go public. But I'm going to tell you guys something. You cannot win an argument with spirit. At least I can anyway. And very soon it was just easier to get on with it and get it over with than it was to say, no, I'm not going to do it. But when I gave in, I had one condition. I told them, all right, you guys, if you're going to dictate this book for me, fine. Be my guest, we'll do that. But we're going to have to do it on the computer. I had never written on the computer before. I'd never tried it that way. But I was worried about my hand. I didn't know how long this book was going to be at the time. So they were cool. They were very cool about using the computer. They quickly got to work dictating the material that would become the basis for Windows of Opportunity. Now, you probably noticed I said they started dictating. That's because it wasn't just Jeremy and me